Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss the solution for pattern 17. So first of all, let's see a pattern. So here it is. This is a pattern here for n equals to 5. Okay, so in this pattern, as you can see, we have some number of spaces, then number of stars, spaces, the number of stars. In the middle row we have all the stars, then again spaces, then stars, spaces, and then star. Okay, so if you will look closely here, you will find out that till the middle row, middle column, we have a different pattern, and after middle column, we have a different pattern. So clearly, we can divide this pattern into two parts. Here it is. This part 1 and part 2. Part 1 follows a different pattern, and part 2 follows a different pattern. So we can print both of them separately. Alright, so first of all, let's see our part 1. You can see we have constant number of spaces or constant number of stars in this part. So let's count our number of spaces. So here it is, 1 and 2. Okay, 2. We have two number of spaces or two number of stars for the middle row, and then we have again two spaces, and the last row also we have two spaces. So clearly we have find out that we need to print n by two number of times in part 1. Okay, and for the middle row, meaning if I equals to n by 2, we need to print a star. Okay, now coming to our part 2, you can clearly see in our row 1 we have 1 star, then we have 2 stars, and 3 stars, then we have again 2 stars and 1 star. You can very much see this pattern. The number of stars are increasing till the middle row, and after this the number of stars start decreasing. Okay, so number of stars are increasing by 1, and then number of stars start decreasing by 1 after the middle row. So we have analyzed a pattern, and we know how we can print this pattern now. So let's try to code this. Alright, so first of all, let's take our input n as an integer n. Can next in. We have taken the integer n. Now for printing the second half of our program, we need to know how many number of stars are present. So let's take a variable int number of stars. Okay, so we have seen that in our row 1 we have 1 star. Here you can see we have 1 star in our first row. So we need to initialize our number of stars variable with 1. Okay, let me do it in full screen. Okay, now for printing in each row, int I equals to 0, I less than n, number of rows I plus. Now for printing part 1, for int j equals to 0, j less than n by 2, because the number of spaces or the number of stars are equal to n by 2 here. Now j plus plus. Now only in the middle row here we need to print star. So if I is equal to n by 2, then I'm going to print star. I'm going to print star. If this is not a middle row, then I need to print only spaces. Now we need to print our second half. We have some number of stars here. So for int I equals int j equals to 0, because I have already used I in the first loop. So int j, now j should be less than number of stars, and j plus plus. Okay, in this loop we need to print only stars. System dot out dot print ln, and we are going to print star. Now one last condition for increasing or decreasing our number of stars for the second part of our pattern. So if I is less than n by 2, then the number of stars are going to increase, else the number of stars are going to decrease. So let's try to run it. Okay, I had to use NST, number of stars, not star, number of stars. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, I have made a mistake here. I need to use print here, and for changing my row I need to change my row here. Okay, I think this should work now. Alright, so it is accepted for our input test case, sample test case rather. Okay, so let's check for all our test cases. Submit. Okay, this is going to take some time. Maybe a lot of people were using it. So now we got 10 out of 10, which means we are passing all our test cases and our logic for the program is correct. So that's all for this video. See you in the next one.